just after 9:40 a.m. on October 10, 2025, when the ground beneath the southern Philippines began to shake, deep, violent, and unstoppable. Within seconds, the peaceful morning turned into pure chaos. Windows rattled, walls cracked, and the sound of car alarms filled the air across Davao City. Off the coast of Davao Oriental, a powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck nearly 36 miles below the ocean floor, sending massive shockwaves across the entire island of Mindanao. Buildings rocked like boats in stormy seas. Terrified residents ran for safety, holding their kids, shouting, praying for it all to stop. Authorities quickly issued tsunami warnings, urging people near the coast to move to higher ground. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center even detected the potential for waves as high as 10 feet. It was one of the strongest earthquakes in recent Philippine history, a moment that would test millions of people, their courage, their faith, and their resilience. In Davao City, office workers dove under desks as ceiling panels crashed around them. Teachers tried to protect their students while lights swung violently overhead. Storefronts along J.P. Laurel Avenue shattered as tremors ripped through concrete foundations. People later said the shaking felt endless, nearly 40 seconds of fear that seemed to last forever. Moments later, the power grid failed, throwing entire neighborhoods into darkness. Transformers exploded, lighting up the sky and filling the air with the sharp smell of burning metal. Cell service went down, cutting off communication when it was needed most. In General Santos, glass walls of a shopping mall collapsed, while a coastal bridge near Governor Generoso cracked open under immense pressure. Emergency sirens blared across Mindanao as airports, schools, and bridges were immediately shut down for safety. That morning, in less than a minute, a calm day turned into disaster. But even in the middle of fear and destruction, the people of Mindanao stood strong, helping one another, rebuilding, and refusing to give up. Because in times like these, resilience is the greatest strength of all. The ground started trembling, hard and sudden. Roads cracked open, and engineers from the Department of Public Works were on the move, checking highways, especially the Davao Mati route where the pavement split and fissures appeared. Hospitals immediately switched to emergency mode. Staff guided patients out into open areas to be safe. When the shaking eased, an odd, heavy quiet settled over the city, a silence punctured only by distant sirens and the occasional terrified cry. Then alerts began flashing across radios and phones. Tsunami warning. Move to higher ground. People ran. Streets that were full of life were suddenly empty. Glass and debris littered the roads, power lines sagged, and the asphalt was buckled. Dust and darkness hid the skyline. Neighbors stepped outside slowly, flashlights cutting thin beams through the haze. Whole districts were without power. Cell signals came and went. Families gathered in parks and fields, holding each other while aftershocks rolled through. In neighborhoods far from the city center, the sound of collapsing walls echoed like distant thunder. Hospital staff worked under flashlights, evacuating upper floors just in case. Teachers shepherded students out of school buildings, shoes splashing through pools formed by broken pipes. Downtown, emergency teams secured damaged blocks and began searching for anyone trapped beneath rubble. Along the coast, tsunami sirens screamed as the sea grew restless. People climbed hills and roadsides, silhouettes disappearing into the night. For many, the city felt foreign, frozen between destruction and disbelief. The quake had passed, but its impact lingered in every broken street and silent block. Davao had made it through the worst of the shaking, but the road to recovery was only beginning. By sunrise, the full extent of the disaster was finally visible. Deep cracks split across highways, bridges twisted under pressure, and entire coastal villages were cleared out over fears that a tsunami could strike again. In Davao Oriental, aerial footage showed a heartbreaking scene. Homes reduced to rubble, palm trees ripped from the ground, and fishing boats tossed onto the shore like broken toys. The Philippine Coast Guard reported that powerful waves, nearly 9 feet high, had slammed into towns like Governor Generoso and Cat-Eel before receding, leaving flooded homes and wrecked shops behind. Across Mindanao, thousands of families spent the night in evacuation shelters, some resting on school gym floors, others trying to stay dry under plastic tarps. Power outages swept across the region, and clean water quickly became scarce. Emergency response teams were flown in from Manila and nearby provinces, carrying generators, food, and medical supplies. Search dogs joined the effort, combing through debris in hopes of finding survivors. Hospitals ran on backup power, while volunteers worked tirelessly to hand out bottled water and rice. Landslides blocked major roads, forcing rescue workers to hike miles through mud and rubble to reach isolated communities. Yet, even in the middle of destruction, stories of courage and compassion began to shine through. Neighbors sharing meals, strangers helping rebuild homes, and families comforting one another amid the chaos. For the people of Davao and the southern Philippines, the road to recovery had just begun. But even in the ruins, there was still one thing standing strong: hope. Experts soon traced the cause of the quake to the Philippine Trench, one of the most active fault lines on the planet. This massive underwater trench runs along the country's eastern coast, where the Philippine sea plate slides beneath the Eurasian plate. Over decades, pressure builds deep beneath the ocean floor, and when that pressure finally breaks, the result is violent seismic energy. Friday's 7.4 magnitude quake, scientists said, was a direct result of that tension being released. According to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, the quake originated roughly 36 miles beneath the seabed, shallow enough to cause devastating damage at the surface, but deep enough to prevent a massive tsunami from forming. Even so, the scars left behind, both physical and emotional, will take years to heal. Even hours after the main quake, powerful aftershocks kept shaking the region, some stronger than magnitude 5. Thousands of people were too afraid to go back inside, choosing instead to spend the night outdoors under the open sky. Scientists say this wasn't just a random event. They've been tracking a worrying pattern. Major earthquakes in the Western Pacific are becoming more frequent, all connected to the same massive subduction zone deep beneath the ocean floor. Experts pointed out how similar this disaster was to the one that struck Surigao back in 2017. For a country sitting right on the Pacific Ring of Fire, preparation isn't optional. It's a matter of survival. Geologists are calling for stricter building standards, stronger early warning systems, and regular nationwide earthquake drills. Because here and anywhere along the Ring of Fire, it's never about if another quake will happen. It's about when. As night settled over Davao, the city was barely lit, just the flicker of candles and the steady hum of small generators filling the silence. The air smelled of wet concrete and sea salt, while helicopters hovered above, their searchlights sweeping across the damaged neighborhoods. Inside crowded evacuation centers, volunteers handed out hot food and blankets to families who had lost everything. Children held tight to donated toys, small pieces of comfort amid the chaos. Elderly residents sat silently, staring out toward the dark horizon where the ocean disappeared into the night. Rescue crews kept digging through piles of debris, searching for signs of life. Every time a survivor was pulled from the rubble, the crowd erupted in cheers and tears, moments of hope breaking through the devastation. Local radio stations worked nonstop, broadcasting safety updates and helping families reconnect with loved ones. Despite everything, the people of Davao refused to give in to despair. Businesses opened their doors as makeshift shelters. Churches turned into community kitchens. High school students started donation drives online, spreading help faster than the disaster itself. From tragedy rose a powerful spirit of unity, proof that even in the darkest moments, humanity always finds a way to stand tall again. By the second day, engineers were hard at work, restoring electricity to hospitals, clearing major roads, and bringing some order back to the chaos. Progress was slow, but you could see hope returning. One local resident said, "We've faced storms, floods, and quakes before, but we always rebuild." And that spirit of resilience was shining once again across Mindanao. Even in the middle of destruction, people refused to give up. They were proving that human strength always rises above the ruins. While emergency teams focused on stabilizing Davao, scientists around the world started studying what this earthquake could mean on a larger scale. Now, earthquakes aren't directly caused by climate change, but experts say climate factors can make their impacts far worse. Rising sea levels, unstable soil, and changing rainfall patterns all amplify the damage when disasters strike. Flooding hits harder, landslides happen more often, and recovery takes much longer. The Philippines sits in one of the world's most dangerous zones, where typhoons and tectonic forces collide. In just the past year, the country has faced Super Typhoon Raisa, Typhoon Matmo, and now this devastating quake in Davao. Each disaster pushes the nation's infrastructure and resilience to the edge. Experts warn that while we can't stop nature's power, we can reduce its toll through stronger building standards, smarter city planning, and international cooperation. Across the Pacific, researchers in California and Japan tracked the Davao quake's seismic waves, studying how the stress might spread to nearby faults. This event was a powerful reminder that the Pacific Ring of Fire isn't just a line on a map. It connects the lives of millions across continents. From Haiti to Hawaii, we've seen the same story. The Earth's fury has no borders, but neither does human resilience. As the sun rises over Davao, the city bears its scars, shaken, but still standing. The echoes of sirens have quieted, replaced by the steady hum of generators and the distant sound of waves crashing along the coast. Across the Philippines, millions wake up to a familiar reality, living on the edge of nature's power. Buildings can collapse, roads can split open, and power lines can fall. Yet, the human spirit keeps standing tall. This earthquake won't just be remembered for its strength, but for what it reminds us. Our planet is always moving, always changing. From California to the Philippines, being prepared isn't optional, it's essential. We need stronger buildings, smarter early warning systems, and better community training. These aren't luxuries, they're lifelines. After Davo's 7.4 quake, the world saw once again how fragile we are and how resilient we can be. Nature will continue to test us, but together we can rebuild anything. If you believe in staying informed and spreading awareness about the forces that shape our world, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe, because the next story of survival could be the one that saves a life.